Devils and Dust tour. And it seemed to me that when Bruce got on stage and started playing on this tour in particular, that the stage filled up with the souls of the departed. You could just see their ghost hanging around back there. The Rising was deployed between racing in the streets and darkness on the edge of town. And as I was kind of going through those words, it struck me that those two songs were really about racing. But this wasn't a 5K. This wasn't easy. This was a marathon. This was going to take us a long time. And he seemed to be telling us that, that it didn't matter who you were, soldiers, immigrants, runaways, orphans, whores, whatever you were, you were an American, and we were all going to be needed in this fight. And Jesus as the only son, that son that was out there, it seemed to me a little gentle reminder to maybe the conservatives in our country that let's remember what Christianity is, and that these other folks, these soldiers and immigrants and everyone else, are part of our country too. And it very much became a not necessarily a protest, but he was definitely making a statement by where he put the song in Devils and Dust. And then the song wasn't included in the Seeger sessions. And I could swear I remembered hearing it there, but I went back and checked them all, and it didn't play there. And then it occurred to me that the Seeger sessions was a very short tour, and it was a lot of fun. And if you went to any of those, you were dancing and singing, having a great time. And I think that was just Bruce's taking a break. I think it was tough, all that stuff that we just went through with the grieving and the protesting and the losing the election. I think he just wanted to have fun, and so he gave the Rising a break and let it have some quiet time too during that. So then came Magic. Wow, this was so angry. This whole tour was so angry. And this wasn't like the earlier albums where, here was this young man who was struggling to come to grips with the country that he lived in and his place in it. This was a grown man's anger, controlled fury almost at, this is my home, what have you done to it? That was the impression that I was getting throughout the entire Magic tour. And he kind of set the stage up early with the set list of Night and Reason to Believe. They just came out and they were so forceful, and especially Reason to Believe. Now that song has gone through a lot of transformations, but when you heard it on the Magic tour, I've never heard a song so angry as that song was, night after night. I mean, I would look at Max up there beating on those drums and just thinking, he is going through a lot of drum heads in this concert tour, because he's got to be beating a lot of those. And then when you listen to Danny's organ playing in the early part of the tour, he obviously was working through some demons of his own, because he was really hitting it hard on this song in particular. And then we had, Bruce would come out with his prelude to Living in the Future, and he would talk about what was making him so angry, this voter suppression and the illegal wiretapping and the rendition and all the rest of it. And then, after that, we'd get into this Devil's Arcade song, which the first time I heard Devil's Arcade, I hadn't even seen the words yet, but it was the most painful music I have ever heard in my life. I sat there listening to it with tears streaming down my eyes, going, what is going on? I can't even really understand what he's saying, but it was just so, you just could feel the hurt, the pain in what was happening in that song. But then right after that, and these songs didn't hardly change at all in the set list lineup. It was Devil's Arcade, so you're there and you're like going, what is this? And then, when you're really into that really, really horrible point, you hear that music of the Rising. You hear that la 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 la, and it's going up and it's going up and it's going up, and all of a sudden you're starting to feel better. And you're going, yeah, okay. And all those souls that were on the stage in the last tour, well, they might have been back, but we weren't forgetting them. We were letting their precious blood bind us, and we were hands again, and we were going, yeah, okay. And we got up there and we were all feeling better about it, but then he kind of threw that question at us, and he's saying, all right, so you're with me now, you understand, but who's going to be the last to die? Who's it going to be? Is it going to be when your phone is wiretapped or your son goes to war? Was that call to action again? When are you going to get involved? So here's where, it was really that protest. then, you know, campaigning part 2 here was, right after the Magic Tour ended, he went out on this little mini tour to support Obama, and, you know, the Rising was played at every one of them, just wanted us to make sure and get that message, well, we're in this together, we gotta do this together, you know, we gotta get our hands up there, put your hand in mine, and yay, it worked. We did it. But there's still one more transformation